Alright, y'all boys, we back with another video. So today we are going to be going over one of the newly buffed units. Obviously, we did get quite a bunch, but there's only kind of like a select few that actually got a buff that actually mattered or made the character a little bit more valued than they were previously. So the character that we're going to be going over today is actually going to be a character that started off in the beginning of the game. That character is going to be Blue Megumi. Now, I always thought that the art of it was really nice. I really liked it with his Shikai in the back and everything. However, the character was complete utter dog shit, and the only use that we ever had for this character, despite him being a break character, was for his skill 2, which was the stuff, right? So, yeah, before he was completely utter trash, and it was just very tragic on how this Blue Megumi was even a unit that they play in the game. Like, before using his ultimate to like, summon his Divine Dogs, obviously, right? It's ridiculous. Once you used your special to summon Divine Dogs, all your skills became kind of like slightly stronger and had a strong break effect, but his damage and his break overall was still bad and wasn't worth the value of course, building up and ramping up to that just to do mediocre shit. Now, they try to make him somehow of a strong breaker, but as we know, breaking scales off of damage. So if your damage is ass, then you can basically give up breaking as well. So it's just like they didn't do good with him. Now, with the adjustments, not only is it really easy to get his special thanks to his like new passive, like his new auto skill, he gains the effects based on whether he has the Divine Dog active. And then not only that, his skills are now absolutely stacked in utility. So before his skill 2, it was only able to stun, but now it can stun and increase the enemy's Jujutsu damage received by 15%, and he can break. Now, the main part is just passive adjustment, which makes him a crazy special spammer, right? Right here, as you can see, Divine Dog Totality exists, increases ultimate gauge fill rate, increased by 20%. Then, if Divine Dog Totality does not exist, increases ultimate gauge fill rate by 40%. So he's able to get his ult very rapidly, and then on top of that, he does 80% damage dealt increase to self if the target enemy are in the break side. So he's definitely going to be more leaning towards breaking the enemy to do more damage to the enemies, right? So without further ado, let's actually go into the teams, because there's not really, he didn't change too much aside from his passive skill and a couple of little slight tweaks here and there, but it's mainly his passive skill, which is going to, and then obviously, you know, this is mainly going to help him get to his ult quicker, which is allowing him to actually function how they properly wanted him to be played as, right? With his ult, like obviously with his Shikai out, his Divine Dog. So let's go to the teams, and then from there on, we'll move on to actually, you know, testing out the character. All right, so here are our teams. Want to get that ultimate up immediately. Now, Megumi, he's going to be using the Panda memory because, again, like I mentioned, we're trying to get to his ult quickly so we can get him to have all those extra bonuses and buffs and everything when he has his ultimate active. Anyways, without further ado, let's actually get into the showcase. Let me just show off the skill levels of the characters real quick so you can get a look for it. So I have the base standard Megumi on what you kind of expect for a character that you just get straight off the bat, whether you're not sure if you're going to invest into them or not. So we have 3 across the board for the skills, and then obviously we have 7 for the ultimate. So keep in mind, anything that I do here in this video, I definitely can get a lot higher on numbers if I wanted to invest into this character even more. But despite him being a pretty good character now, I don't want to make that investment because I'd rather invest into the actual meta characters who are going to be used in more situations. So anyways, without further ado, let's actually get into the showcase. All right, so we're here on floor 35. We're going to be fighting the pitching machine. So let's get right into it. We're going to straight away use Unity, use skill 2 on Yaga, skill 2 on Nanami, and obviously we're going to use the memory because we can, might as well. We're going to do the ult charge for our Inumaki, and then straight off the bat, we're going to use the Panda memory with skill 1 on Megumi. Now, keep in mind, remember, Megumi has a 40%, I believe it's 40% ult gauge charge rate when you do not have the Divine Dog Totality. Then we're going to have Unity pumping in, and then we're also going to have, of course, the skill 2 of Inumaki, which is also going to charge ult. So keep in mind, look at turn 1. Turn 1, keep an eye on Megumi's ult charge, or his ult gauge. Just look at it. That's it. That's it. 1 turn. If that isn't the quickest ult you ever seen in this fucking game, I don't know what is. Bro has his ult. Within the first turn, he got his ult. That's it. So now we're going to buff. Here we can just use, I guess we can use skill 3 because I don't want him to stun. If we can stun him, we'll stun him. Then we'll use our ult here. All right, so now we have our Divine Dog Totality out, and we're just going to buff with these two. It doesn't matter what he does, so we're just going to skill 1 here. And I would say probably the best one to use here is probably going to be skill 2, because skill 2 does have break. It also does have damage, like pretty much the same amount of damage as the other ones. Like obviously you would not use skill 3 because that's more so an AoE attack, so we don't really care in this situation when it's single target. And then obviously skill 1 is obviously going to be weaker than skill 2. So we're just going to spam skill 2. That's realistically the only one you're going to want to be using when you're fighting a singular enemy. Plus it has stun, right? So all right, we'll buff again. We'll buff again. We'll use skill 2, right? Start charging our ult again. Remember, we're not going to have 40% now. We're going to have 20% because we do have the Divine Dog Totality out. We're going to use skill 2 here. We'll just ult here with both of them. This is going to help our Megumi charge up his ult a little bit. Because I really don't like this boss overall, just because the boss does have like stun mechanics and things like that. It's really tedious. Yeah, he's dead. Now we have Gakuganji in. We're gonna buff. We're gonna buff. We're gonna use skill 3 on Gakuganji. We're gonna use the memory because it's gonna last for quite a bit long duration anyways. And we already have Megumi's ult, right? Now, the question is, do I use the ult here, or do I just break him with skill 2 first and then just go in with the ult and do as much damage as possible? That's what I'm thinking. I mean, I could just ult here and that would probably insta-break him too, huh? Let's just try using skill 2, right? I mean, we got plenty of time left, right? I don't think we're going to be dying anytime soon anyways. We'll ult because we do not have any like more curse energy. We'll buff again, we'll debuff, and then we'll skill 2 here. This should break. And he's broken. Now, you're probably wondering, why didn't I ult before, obviously, you know, to obviously break him and all that. The reason why I didn't is because, keep in mind, Megumi does get a buff to, of course, his damage when the enemy is in the break status. So I just figured I wanted to utilize that and kind of showcase how much damage he would do in that situation rather than the other, right? So we're going to use the ult here. And, yeah. 0.2 mil. Whatever. Nothing crazy. Then you just keep spamming skill 2. Use your memory. Got to use Unity. Fun. You have CC as well. You have a bunch of break. You're maintaining your curse energy pretty well as well. But yeah, you got break, you got damage, you got CC. Realistically, overall, pretty good. Now, obviously, I could have ulted him and just broke him, and that would have been fine too. But I just wanted to see how much damage he would do when the enemy's in the break status. So now we'll move on to the next one. This will be a lot higher floor, so we'll be able to see him do damage on the higher tier floors and see if he's able to complete those. All right, so we're here on floor 44, and we're going to be doing some shenanigans, but nothing too really crazy. We're still showcasing, obviously, Megumi. So first up, we're going to use Unity, skill 2 in the memory, skill 2 with Inumaki to charge our ults as quickly as possible. Then we're going to Pride and use skill 1 on Megumi because we're going to try to conserve some of his cursed energy here. All right, so he's gonna do draw attack. We don't really care too much. We'll buff again. We'll charge ults again, and then we will skill 1 because again, still conserving curse energy. Okay, so Inamaki's dead. I mean, we don't care. Buff, use the memory, skill 3, and then we're gonna start doing skill 3 with our Megumi. Just to kind of showcase the AoE damage that you can do. Okay, so you got like 500k on each like enemy, which isn't bad. We'll buff again, we'll debuff, and then we'll skill 3 again. So we broke the boss, and then all we have left is just the mobs. Unfortunately, they hit, you know, Gakuganji, which whatever, doesn't really matter too much. We'll skill 1 here. We'll ult here because this is going to give us like some kind of damage dealt, so we don't really lose the rotations of our... Actually, we could probably just ult with both, right? And then skill 3 again with our Megumi. I mean, it's fine if we don't actually hit him because of the darkness. We just want to get that damage dealt increase from our Nanami. And AoE attack, so we're not going to miss. Okay, the rest of the mobs are dead. We buff. And then we just start using skill 2. And we could use Pride also, right? Actually, we don't need to use Pride yet. Let's just use skill 2 and then we'll Pride next turn. Alright. Unity, buff, Pride, ult. Alright, let's see how much we do. And we broke the boss again. GG. Buff, skill 2. Skill 1. Then we use skill 3 because obviously the boss had inflicted darkness on us, so if we use the skill 3, then AoE attack, so we'll be able to hit him anyways. Alright. Next, we'll buff, use the memory, and then skill 2 with our Megumi. Got darkness again. Attack. We use ult, and then we'll skill 1 with Megumi. Can give us the damage dealt increase still. And Megumi is still alive. Oh, never mind, he's dead. But you get the picture, right? Basically, you're like able to break enemies very easily, very quickly. You get your ult very rapidly because obviously you have the ult charge from not only himself on his passive, but also other sources. He just gets it very, very, very rapidly. Obviously, we did have unfortunate events where some of our characters were dying a little bit too early as we'd like to, but you get the picture. The point is the character is a lot better than he used to be. This is a lot higher floor too. Like previously, you would not be able to do this floor with Megumi, but now after his buff, you definitely can because he is a lot better than he was previously. But overall, I'm content with how they did the character. I would just like a little teensy bit more damage, nothing crazy, just a teensy bit, and I think he's gonna be stupendous. You'll have that good option, that situational option that will obviously have good break damage. But yeah, realistically, it doesn't matter what we do here because these guys are not killing this boss regardless. We're just getting perma-inflicted by darkness. Anyways, that's basically going to be the Megumi showcase. I appreciate y'all boys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Not much to talk about this character. He's just a lot better than he was previously.